In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is blood politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is blood politics.
All right, what do you say we hop right into it, guys? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. Thank you, everybody, for watching here on the Blunt Politics channel and everybody over there on this space, as usual, on the Wednesday afternoon show. And thank you to the mods. Thank you to Matt for having me and including me in the coalition. Very honored and proud to be a part of that. I hope everybody's subscribing over there to this space. But I do hope everybody's having a better day than Pam Bondi is, because holy shit, is she not having it didn't go as well as she thought it was going to go. It's probably still going on. I was able to catch a good amount of her debacle inside of, I believe, testifying in front of the House Judiciary Committee, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I think it was the Judiciary Committee. But Jesus Christ, did she look like an absolute moron? There's some great parts that we'll be diving into. We also have to get into, obviously, the Zorro ranch, like craziness that people are talking about. Kash Patel's lies obviously exposed here in the last several hours, if they haven't been evidently exposed already. And then obviously we'll be talking about, if we have time, because there's so much to dive into just from this whole Pam Bondi nonsense. If we have time, we'll be diving into Russia's communications nightmare that are starting to already have an effect. Ukraine already starting to utilize and, take advantage of the fact that Russia is no longer able to utilize Starlink. Not only that, but they're now actively trying to strip their citizens and the military of using Telegram, which, again, once you hear the numbers of the people in Russia that actively use Telegram, it's going to be a drastic change. Not only that, but, 4 years on into this full-scale invasion for them to, and it's, again, because they've rolled out their own sort of platform, this own government-sponsored Chinese AI, cameras always on, microphones always listening type of app over there in Russia that they want to push their citizens to use. So that's why they're cracking down on Telegram. But you'd think they would have done this a long time ago, considering the amount of information and the amount of intel being gathered just from video releases, just from cell phone footage, being released over Telegram by different Russian citizens, by different military personnel in Russia. So, I mean, it was only a matter of time before this is going to happen. So, again, if we have time, we'll be diving into that. But let's dive into a few of these Pam Bondi clips, because boy, oh boy, did she get her ass reamed out. People like Jamie Raskin with the opening was very, very good. Premier Jai Paul had a great moment, all the way down to Thomas Massey had a great moment. I think, Jamie Raskin had a couple great moments in this. And again, like I said, I didn't get to watch the entirety of it. I only got to watch a few moments, a few speakers of it. But from what I saw, she didn't handle herself too well. So what do you say we dive into just a couple of these clips that were happening today? Actually, not that long ago. I think this first one here is Jamie Raskin in his opening statements, which were pretty impactful right off the bat. And then I think we'll get into some of, like I said, I want to kind of go back and forth. So I wanted to show some of Thomas Massey, obviously Republican, obviously been working with Ro Khanna as far as the legislation on this, working very, deeply with Ro Khanna and other people, obviously, to make sure that these victims get to see accountability and justice. So I think it's very important that we show both sides of the aisle, because The Republicans that I saw wanted to talk about anything and everything other than the Epstein files, anything other than the abuse and the murders on the streets of the United States by ICE. They wanted to talk about fraud in Minnesota. They wanted to talk about fraud in fucking California. They wanted to talk about an Indian reservation that somehow got $600,000 6 years ago or something like that from a town in Wisconsin nobody's ever fucking heard of. Right. So these are all things that Republicans wanted to talk about instead of what the entire country and world is now pretty much focused on, as far as, again, seeking accountability and justice to anybody named as a perpetrator, as a criminal, somebody that helped influence the crimes that we're now seeing being released in the Epstein files. Whatever your involvement may be, we've seen country after country outside of the United States either, again, start investigations, actively seek resignations, or whatever it may be from these high-profile clientele, whether it's prime ministers, whether they're part of the royal family, whatever it may be. We've seen accountability and justice, at least on the surface so far, being sought in other countries. Not so much here in the United States. But Pam Bondi thought she could come at this with, the usual and typical nonsense of just, oh, Democrats suck, you lie, you hate Donald Trump, you keep all our dear Lord and Savior Donald Trump, how can you speak of him like this? It's that blasphemy. So, she didn't, again, handle herself too well. But let's dive into a couple of these clips. First one here, like I said, is Jamie Raskin in his opening. And then I think we'll take a look at Premier Jayapal, and then we'll go into Thomas Massey. So again, here's kind of how it opened. Let me throw this on your screens, and we'll start getting into this. Sorry, my apologies about Jim Jordan. He's only on the screen for a second. My apologies. Hit that like button again. I'm Boston Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast. I really do appreciate you guys for joining me. I really do appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity and the time, because that's the most important thing in your life here, spent in trying to get the information and trying to get the insights and what's taking place. So again, hit that like button and make it worth it for me and you, and subscribe to the channel if you find yourself coming back. So let's go. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Attorney General Bondi. You've got the best lawyer's job in America, because your mission is justice and your clients are the American people. But to promote justice for the people, you've got to listen to the victims, like the women seated behind you today. Those are just some of the hundreds of survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's global sex trafficking ring who are demanding that the truth be told, and are demanding accountability for the abusers who trafficked and raped them. You still haven't met with these survivors. So with their permission, let me introduce to you the survivors and late survivors' family members who are present today. There's Teresa Helm, there's Jess Michaels, Laura Bloom McGee, Danny Bensky, Liz Stein, Marina Lacerda, Sky and Amanda Roberts, who are the family. And
remember this moment when it comes to Premier Jayapal and what she asked Pam Bondi to do and what Pam Bondi refuses to do. Recognize and remember this moment.
Virginia Giuffre, Charlene Richard, and Lisa Phillips. Now, you're not showing a lot of interest in the victims, Madam Attorney General, whether it's Epstein's human trafficking ring or the homicidal governmental violence against citizens in Minneapolis. As Attorney General, you're siding with the perpetrators and you're ignoring the victims. That will be your legacy unless you act quickly to change course. You're running a massive Epstein cover-up right out of the Department of Justice. You've been ordered by subpoena and by Congress to turn over 6 million documents, photographs, and videos in the Epstein files, but you've turned over only 3 million. You say you're not turning over the other 3 million because they're somehow duplicative, but we know that there are actual memos of victim statements in there. And you also took down the Department of Justice's prosecution memo from 2019. So it's clearly not all duplicative, but even if it were, why not release it? Just release all the duplicative stuff. In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators.
And I'm glad he continued to make this point, and I'm sure a lot of the Democrats went on to make this point of just how much time and care and attention was taken in redacting the people engaged in the crimes, so like the perpetrators of the crimes, those that either facilitated or went out to find the girls or whichever way you were involved. Like those people was taking a lot of time and care to redact their names to save them, the accountability, the embarrassment, the prosecutions to come from this. as opposed to, again, the victims who, as is spoken about in this testimony, in this hearing, risked pretty much their lives to come out again and share their stories. And a lot of them didn't ever want their identities out there. And then it was written into law by the United States government that their identities was to remain secret, was not to be out there for anybody to find out so they could be harassed or threatened. But that's exactly what happened and again, whether that's through ignorance or incompetence, either one falls under the jurisdiction of the head of that department. So either way, you got to answer for it. And again, she does nothing but obfuscate. She does nothing but try to turn the tables and talk about anything and everything other than the questions being posed to her. But I'm glad people continue to bring this up, especially while the victims, or at least some of the victims, are sitting right behind Pam Bondi.
Apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which is
and look at her. Look at how uncomfortable she is too. Look at how uncomfortable she's pretending to read like she can actually fucking read, right? Let me get a sip of water. Oh, let me adjust my chest. She's doing everything she possibly can other than to look Jamie Raskin in the face or turn around and face the victims in which she hasn't met with yet. And can you imagine that? The Department of Justice hasn't met with the victims of this yet? And we're supposed to be giving them praise and rewarding them for doing all this great work they say they're doing. Like, excuse you? Not once. And again, there's a moment in time. I don't want to jump the gun too much, but I believe in the Premier Jayapal testimony, in where she's questioned, she asked the people, hey, can you please just stand up and raise your hand if you haven't yet been able to meet with Pam Bondi? And you'll be surprised. You won't be surprised, actually, at how many of them actually stand up and raise their hands. We'll get into it, though.
Just release all the duplicative stuff. In the half you did produce, you redacted the names of abusers, enablers, accomplices, and co-conspirators, apparently to spare them embarrassment and disgrace, which is the exact opposite of what the law ordered you to do. Even worse, you shockingly failed to redact many of the victims' names, which is what you were ordered to do by Congress. Some of the victims had come forward publicly, but many had not. Many had kept their torment private, even from family and friends, but you published their names.
And again, made a great point made by a few people that I saw here, like the problematic nature and how difficult it must be for a woman to come up, and come forward for, allegations or accuse somebody or tell about a situation in which they have been sexually abused, especially about somebody as high profile as the people mentioned in this fucking, in these files, as, a politician, a high profile, whatever it may be, law enforcement, a DOJ, whatever it may be, right? Just think of how difficult it may be and what they have to go through. And then again, they make it a very apparent how important it is for that information, for those fucking victims to remain, protected, right? Because of the difficult nature, because of how difficult it already is for people to come forward in that circumstance. We don't want to make it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more difficult and more unlikely for people to come forward, because they can't trust that the federal government, they can't trust that law enforcement will keep their identity secret, will keep their information a secret, so that they can remain, free and without the fear of again, threats, pressure, violence, whatever it may be, intimidation, all of it. So it just makes it that much more unlikely that people in the future will come forward when this shit is happening, when the reputation of the DOJ is tarnished to this extent, when we have Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General of this fucking country, going on national television saying, oh, don't worry, it's not a crime to party with a sex offender, with underage girls at the party, with a known person, with known people engaged in a sex trafficking ring. Right? Saying that, oh no, we've done everything that we needed to do. We've done everything we're required to do. We've fucking reviewed and redacted, like they're, again, the Department of Review and Redact. I always thought it was the Department of Justice, right? To seek justice, to demand justice, to follow justice and the roads of justice wherever they may lead, right? The investigation should continue at the whatever cost to this country. Believe me, we have the fucking money to do so. And if there's ever been a situation important enough to expend those fucking funds, it's been this one, especially with the people that are involved and named and the control they have around the fucking globe right now. We haven't even heard the half of it, ladies and gentlemen. Right? I mean, we're continuing to find out things by the second, whether it's, CoffeeZilla, whether it's, the Zorro Ranch, whatever it may be. There are people still to this second going through different files, going through different emails, finding out different little tidbits. We don't know the half of it. And that's the biggest fucking understatement of the show that I could possibly make.
Their identities, their images on thousands of pages for the world to see. So you ignored the law, and even with over 100,000 employees at your disposal, you acted with some mixture of staggering incompetence, cold indifference, and jaded cruelty towards more than 1,000 victims raped, abused, and trafficked.
And again, he goes on there and he does a fantastic job at what he does. But again, for the sake of time, I know we don't have a ton in the early show today. I want to make sure that we get through, as many of these clips as we possibly can. There's one here from Ted Lieu as well. What do you say we go through the Ted Lieu one? Because this was a fantastic moment in this as well, where she really gets caught with her tail between her legs and doesn't know how to get out of this situation. So let's throw this one on, and then we'll go to Premier Jayapal, and then we'll go to Thomas Massey and just kind of go. We'll run through the gamut here between Democrat and Republican, and see how she was pressed and how she responded to these things. But here's Ted Lieu in another good moment from this interaction. Let's go.
I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's a video.
Sorry, I don't want to get copyright. My apologies. I'll let it stop. But we've all seen the video. I'll let it play. I think we get enough information from seeing what's on the screen anyway.
Like
Here we go.
former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that.
Okay, well, first off, with this fucking feigned and fake outrage, you can just fucking leave that at the doorstep, bitch, okay? Because we ain't fucking buying it. We don't give a shit about it. It ain't fucking fooling anybody. You and your little acting classes, whatever you guys taught, were taught down there in Florida. God knows what the fuck happens down there in Florida, right? No offense to anybody in the chat in Florida, but if you know, you know, I'm sure. But leave that at the fucking doorstep there, okay? How about you fucking save us the fucking fake outrage? Don't give us that bullshit. She even goes in, imagine as the fucking head of the Department of Justice, right? The victims are behind you. You're being questioned to this extent. The whole country, the whole world is talking about the cover-up that's going on right now in the United States and the people involved and the lack of accountability, the lack of ongoing investigations, and how the rest of the world seems to be taking it much more seriously, right? But she's going to go on and she's going to fucking fake this outrage. And you know what she talks about? I don't know if it's in this instance right here, because I wanted to watch this one with you, but she goes on to talk about the stock market. I shit you not. The Epstein, the victims behind her, some of the victims behind her, right? And she's going to go on and have the audacity, the gall, the fucking balls, right? Yeah, this, right. I think I should have these set up more clearly so I could have, she's got the balls.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
She just did it in the wrong way because she has the balls to sit up there and be like, you know what? We should talk about the stock market. We shouldn't be focused on this. And the victims are sitting right behind her as, again, the fucking head of the Department of Justice. And that's where we are right now as a country and in this government.
This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that
I'm
asked that those files.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's no
President
evidence.
Trump asked
Mr. Chairman,
that
please
they
stop the
sign
clock. Please stop the clock.
The legislation. This is
I'd like to reclaim my
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up.
It's almost like he struck a chord, right? It's almost like you can tell exactly what questions Democrats can ask in order to fucking stir her up, right? In order to get that fucking blood pumping, in order to get that stupidity to flow from the fucking whatever's left going through in the brainwaves up here, out through her skull, coming out of her dumbass lips and into the fucking zeitgeist for the people to hear. They know exactly what to say, and she falls for it every single time. Every single time she goes into personal attacks from 6 years ago, or defending again the Fuhrer, the Lord and Savior Donald Trump. I was like, oh my God, how could you possibly say things like that? It's not like you're actively recalling like fucking millions, if not, more than that, of documents that he's listed in, pictures, photographs, flight logs. Again, not to match up with the things that he said in his past, not even relating to the Epstein files, but just the egregious bullshit and the attacks on women, the disregard and disrespect towards women that he's actively and shown continuously in his life. Like all of these things can be matched up to this. You can all this is all related. This isn't like somehow detached from one another. No, the way that he treated women growing up, the way that he's spoken about women, the way that he spoke about his daughter, the way that he spoke about that little girl going up the escalator that he said he'd be dating in a few years, the way that he wants to have sex with fucking Ivanka, the way that he treated his ex-wife, the way that he continuously treats the reporters that he's dealing with, that all shows you the character of the man. And all of it goes to point to a man that I have no doubt would engage in fucking any number of the sexual and financial crimes that have come out of the fucking Epstein files just from what we've seen. And until I'm proven wrong, until Donald Trump, until the MAGA fucking morons can prove me wrong and prove without a shadow of a doubt through documentation, through fucking video evidence, through fucking, geography, through fucking Google Maps and Google Earth, whatever you fucking want to use, that Donald Trump wasn't at these places, that he didn't engage in these sex crimes, that he didn't engage financially in the help or the benefit from this fucking sex trafficking ring. We're going to sit here and we're going to call him a pedophile. We're going to call him involved in this fucking ring because that's exactly what he's shown us so far in his character from the time he's been a con man and a fraudster in New York City till this fucking day right here where Pam Bondi's lying on his behalf in front of the judiciary. So fuck him, okay? Prove me wrong, motherfucker. I think you had a couple people on the Republican side that used to say that with a fucking lawn chair on some fucking college campuses. So I'm stealing it. Fucking prove me wrong.
Another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein files.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
Don't you ever let me clutch my pearls. Oh, I do declare. Did you just accuse me? Oh, did you just accuse me of lying under oath? I sure fucking did, because he says it again, too. And you know what else? You and Kash Patel, you motherfuckers. I think Kash Patel even lied under oath about lying under oath. That's like the double whammy. You want to go for the hat trick? Again, I got tons of hats we could throw on the ice if Kash Patel wants to lie under oath about lying under oath about lying under oath. But Pam Bondi, your fucking ugly ass face hasn't been in front of the cameras, hasn't been in front of Congress enough to even get that far. But I'm sure we're going to get there. I'm sure it's fucking just a matter of time. But go on, Ted. Hit her. Hit her.
There is ample evidence in the Epstein files.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath. And this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's threat operations.
And again, just to show you that you're doing the right thing and you've chosen your time wisely by watching Blunt Politics here. This is, again, the email that we dove deeply into. This is, I believe, the one regarding Dan Ferry, right? And I think he actually responded to one of my videos about him. I think I'm saying his last name wrong, so my apologies. But I've actively reached out to anywhere I possibly could. I'd love to engage in what would probably be for like the first journalistic interview that I've conducted here as far as trying to get to the bottom of things. So again, if he's willing to come on and answer questions and, maybe give some evidence to corroborate some of the things that he said instead of just a video. Again, I'm not saying yes or no. I'm not saying it's true or untrue, but I'm saying that, if Ted Lieu, if Jamie Raskin and other people are showing this document in the Judiciary Committee, then maybe it's it would be prudent upon us to take it in our own hands to get this guy maybe another platform or answer some questions, or we could fucking deny some of the things that he said. Maybe we could fucking put that to the side and say, okay, let's focus on some other things that may be worth our time. Or we could bust this fucking whole thing wide open with some evidence that hasn't been talked about yet. But I mean, I'm up for it. If he's watching, if he sees this, shout out, fucking hit me with an email, hit me with the DM on any social media platform. And again, I'll be more than happy to do my best at conducting a journalistic interview to get to the bottom of this. So again, if you're watching, but this is the email about the limo driver that overheard Donald Trump allegedly talking to or about Jeffrey Epstein, threatened him with a pistol, pulled over the limo. I'm sure if you watch Blunt Politics, you remember the story, but this just to kind of, put into context what they're talking about and, just what we've been discussing here on this podcast in how it relates and how it's now coming back up. I appreciate you guys watching, and I feel like, it's a little confirmation of you doing the right thing here.
Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop a limo and hurt.
And again, he's not saying it like this is confirmed at all, but it's a blatant motherfucking lie to say that there's no evidence in the files to suggest this, that, or the other thing about Donald Trump or his innocence, right? It's a blatant fucking lie. This is clearly evidence coming out of the Epstein files to suggest Donald Trump's criminality involvement in this specific fucking, in this specific instance. So again, whether it's corroborated, confirmed, denied, whether it's been investigated to the ends of the earth, that's evidence coming out of the Epstein files, which means if she knew about it, and I don't see how, if she hasn't fucking laid her eyes on these photos, if she hasn't laid her eyes on these fucking documents, or she hasn't been directly reported to by people that have, she could in any way, shape, or form say she hadn't seen this, or doesn't know about it, or didn't know it existed. So I think that would be clear-cut evidence that she just perjured herself because she did know about this. She did know that there was evidence, whether she believes it or not, to suggest that Donald Trump had involvement in this. And again, I'm no lawyer. Maybe there's a lawyer in the chat can correct me. Let me know if I'm right or wrong on that. But again, I know you have to kind of prove that she knew she was lying in this aspect. But wouldn't that proof directly come from the fact that she had eyes on these files? Right? She's the head. She's the top dog. She's the fucking person everybody reports to. So even if she physically didn't see these files, or this file in particular, the one that we're talking about, she was definitely reported to by somebody that did see these files, right? It was in some sort of report. It was in some sort of fucking recap of what people saw or had to redact or whatever the fuck, right? So wouldn't that be active information and evidence to suggest that she knew about it and then just lied about it in front of Congress? Or am I crazy? Again, I'm not claiming to be a lawyer. I'm not claiming to be a law student. I'm just trying to do, the real world thinking here, common sense thinking, and seeing what we can come up with. But all right, a lot to get into.
Donald Trump, and he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been.
Thanos is? DC? Thanos is a practicing lawyer? That's cool. I did not know that about Thanos. That's awesome. Thanos is in here. Is he in here? Thanos, if you're in here, I thought I saw you in here earlier. Let me know if I'm making sense or if I'm talking out of my arse. Let me know. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, DC.
Suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness.
And that's what I'm talking about. That is all we are talking about here at Blunt Politics. Again, the fact that nobody has done the fucking due diligence, the fact that nobody has tracked this guy down to confirm or deny some of the reporting, some of the allegations, some of the story, some of the emails, some of the information that we're seeing here in the memo, whatever. The fact that hasn't been done, that next step hasn't even been taken, is a blatant slap in the face to the victims. There's a blatant slap in the face to this entire fucking what they're calling an investigation, but is anything but, right? This is an investigation like there's a ceasefire in fucking Gaza. This is an investigation like, Donald Trump was going to end the fucking brutal invasion of Ukraine by Russia in the first 24 hours of him being elected. That's what this is acting like an investigation as. It's posing as an investigation, like the investigations going on into the murder of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy. It's horse shit. It's hogwash. It's fucking smoke and mirrors, and it's anything but. But if it were, an active and ongoing pursuance of fucking justice, pursuance of accountability for the victims, this guy would have been brought in a long fucking time ago. And say, hey, do you have any files? Do you have any paperwork to suggest, that this plane flew into this airport, which I believe is another one of the allegations here, right? He couldn't fly into this airport, so he flew into one closer to Dallas, Fort Worth. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm trying to recall, the memo here, the details off of memory. But I think it's very close to something like that. Donald Trump threatened him with a pistol. He pulled over the limo he thought about using his own weapon. But he then thought again and continued driving. Like the whole, it should be at least a few points of this easily confirmed or denied. Did the guy work for the limo fucking company that he says he worked for right off the bat? Can you prove that? Yes, he does. Okay. Did this, reservation take place at the time and the date that he said it took place in? Was he in a limo at the time and the date that he said he was in a limo with this person? Okay. Yes, he was. Okay. We've confirmed that much. Okay. Was the plane, did a plane matching any one of the descriptions, matching any one of Donald Trump's airplanes or ones that he uses or anything, fly into, an airport near here? Do we have the tail number? Do we have the fucking, the flight path, the flight logs? Okay, yes, we do. Okay, there's another step. If not, then you can you can deny the steps. You can deny the story. And then again, stop wasting time and resources on it and head towards down a road that would lead you to some active information, active prosecution.
Immediately. Epstein should rot in hell. So should the men who patronize his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
And good on fucking Ted Lieu, not only for showing the emotion there, for showing the anger of the American people, but for actively and specifically calling on her to resign from her position because of the embarrassment, because of the degradation of the fucking agency that she's now in charge of, that we've seen under her leadership. So good on Ted Lieu there. And again, just one of many different situations, different Democrats that had some great moments in here. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm showing you all of them. There are definitely other moments in this in which that are worth watching. But let's dive into the Premier Jayapal clip here. Let me throw this on the screen for you because she also had a great moment where, and I'll let it play, but just recall the moment at the beginning when Jamie Raskin was asking and naming the victims that was sitting behind Pam Bondi. So check this out.
To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand.
And that is just wholly disgusting and wholly fucking just representative of what the, this administration is doing as far as work and seeking accountability and justice for these victims. Can't even get a meeting. Again, Marjorie Taylor Greene, as sick and depraved and as cruel as that woman is, knew better than to say, okay, Donald, said he was going to take meetings with the victims, but never has met with them, never has fucking actually scheduled time to sit down with them, the same way that Pam Bondi hasn't. Like, even she could recognize the depravity in promising them time and not giving it to them, and what that actually represented as far as his involvement and not wanting to have this information released. But all the hands raised, all the victims behind Pam Bondi right now, when asked, hey, please raise your hand if you still to this day have failed to get a meeting with Pam Bondi, a face-to-face to give her information, whatever reason, for Pam Bondi to promise you something face-to-face. Every single one of them got their hand raised because they have not yet been able to meet with anybody, as far as I've seen, in this administration that is able to enact any fucking change in this situation.
Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi.
No, can I finish my answer?
So again, the Donald Trump approach to this, instead of recognizing the victims, instead of recognizing the fucking incompetence and the ignorance, or again, the total fucking willful act of releasing the information of the victims, instead of turning around and doing what she knows is the right thing to do, what she's going to do is bring up something that, Merrick Garland, Joe Biden, 6 years ago, 12 years ago, 14 years ago, Like that's, again, just think of how sick and depraved you have to be not even a politician, but the Attorney General of the United States of America, the fucking top law enforcement officer in the country, and to act like the asshole, the orange fucking baboon that we now have fucking residing in the White House. Unreal.
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is
Second
about
choice,
you
second
taking
chance,
responsibility
second
for
opportunity.
your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get
Even the camera pans out. Even the camera pans out because they're expecting her to do something, right? Just anything. Turn around, look at them, acknowledge them in any way, shape, or form, apologize, whatever. Does that come?
to ask the questions. The witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she
It
doesn't
is
like the
my
answer.
time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't
a
she ask
question.
Merrick Garland this?
I am
twice
reclaiming
when he
my
sat in my
time, and when
chair?
I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
it is
Mr. Chairman, the
my
gentleman has
I'm
reclaimed
not
her
going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the time belongs.
The gutter. She's not going to get in the gutter. And by the gutter, she's referring to, again, the Epstein survivors, the victims now stood behind her. That, again, all Premier Jai Paul was asking for is a simple fucking acknowledgement of accountability, an apology for, again, the sloppy, incompetent nature in which their information was fucking not redacted, was let out to the public for everybody to see. And she couldn't even fucking tilt her neck. Not only that, but she didn't even acknowledge the question. She had to go on to this fucking ridiculous propaganda, Merrick Garland, Joe Biden, fucking 2020 election bullshit. Let's talk about the stock market. I mean, just think of how much of a slap in the face that would be. Again, and I'm not asking or expecting anybody to be able to put yourself in the shoes, but again, just try to relate in this moment to the best of your ability how much of a slap in the face that would be to the victims now stood behind the Attorney General of the United States. They couldn't even get a fucking look. Not a look. Not even an acknowledgement of their existence. I know, it's not unreal. It's very real. So I'll stop myself from saying unreal. As egregious and as infuriating as it is to see, even as a privileged white man who again has never had to experience anything like this. It's like it's so fucking infuriating, and I just, maybe it's my ability to put myself in other people's shoes and to be like, okay, what are you feeling in this moment? And again, never could possibly to the extent of which, and I don't claim to. I hope I'm choosing my words carefully and wisely here, but you know what I mean. I can just it fucking bugs the shit out of me. It really does. It's infuriating, and I know you guys feel it too. I know it's palpable throughout the country, not only throughout the country but throughout the world right now, as far as the fury, right? Just the fucking blind rage that everybody feels about what we're learning, and then to turn around and see the lack of fucking motion, the lack of action, the lack of fucking accountability coming from our government, and I just want to make that plain and clear. But all right, so let's go on here because let's show the Thomas Massey one as well here, because I think that's going to be, where was he? He's in one of these ones. Yeah, here he is, this one right here. Because Thomas Massey, all right, Republican, known to stand with Ro Khanna as far as the penning of the legislation that we're now talking about. Somebody that's been prominently speaking up against this. So again, I want to make sure that we play at least a comment from both sides of the aisle in this regard, because Thomas Massey really gives it to Pam Bondi as well. He doesn't hold back, nor should he. But let's see if we can get into a clip of this, and then we'll move on to, we'll see if we can get into a little bit of the Zorro ranch, which again, just is even more, just will piss you off even more when you start hearing about this and what's going on with this, as to what the answers and the lack of answers coming from Pam Bondi were in this fucking hearing. So, all right, let's dive into, again, this is Thomas Massey grilling Pam Bondi in the hearing this morning. Let's get into it. What I probably should do, and what's always smart, is to turn up the volume. In case you're ever wanting to start a podcast yourself, anybody, rule number one, make sure people can hear you. It's probably a good piece of advice.
DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact, or sorry, a list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victims' survivors' names, all right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking, Co-Conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we need that you're holding on to and over redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr.
Chairman.
This is how this works.
Can I have my time back?
Mr.
Chairman.
Well, unfortunately, Pam Bondi, that's exactly how it works. They get the time, they can reclaim their time. Once they reclaim their time, you're supposed to shut your mouth because it's their time. It's not your time. That's the whole point of it. You're there to answer the questions that they ask of you. You don't get to determine how their time is used. So you might want to learn the rules and regulations and the procedures, the parliamentary procedures of Congress before you waltz in there looking like a moron.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from
All right,
Kentucky.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So
Yes.
I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman,
because I
may I
have
give
another
my answer
question.
on that?
Shut up and listen.
It's a political
the question.
joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his
Chairman,
next question.
it's my time.
Within 40
Chairman.
minutes, you asked me a question.
You can give
Within
me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes
You
of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed, there was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and
And
we
I'm glad she finds this amusing, right? And I'm glad she found it, hypocritical enough for her to point out another instance in which she brings up the stock market. And it actually is so ridiculous of her to do so that people actually broke out into laughter. And she decided to say basically the same thing. Oh, I'm glad you find it, time to smile. I'm glad you find this funny. Well, guess what we're speaking about in this moment in time, and not just a ridiculous kind of obfuscation and turnaround and whataboutism that you're saying. We're actually talking about your fucking ignorance, your incompetence, and the people that work under you, or the direct fucking, instructions they got on to specifically redact these names. And only when you were called out and only when you were caught did you have to reverse course.
invited
what?
you
Show the
in.
video.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a
There
failed.
you go. There you go. She had to get that one in there, right? She had to get that one in. I'm glad she got that one on record. I'm glad, because when it's really studied in the future and it's fucking determined by the medicines and doctrines people in this country that like TDS and Trump derangement syndrome was actually the people that were like propagandized and bought into the bullshit and defended anything and everything, no matter if it went against something they've just said in the same sentence or not. Like, that's the actual derangement syndrome that people have. So I can't wait till it comes out in like a medical journal, right, or something like that, where it's like official, and you could point back to it. Like, no, see what you have. Like, this is a problem, and we need some medication for you.
Politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I
get
want
on
you to
these
watch the video.
matters.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the
Himself,
rules here.
there is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
I don't know who are they piping that in? I didn't see this part. Are they piping that Kash Patel audio in?
You're a failed politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I
get on
want you to
these
watch the video.
matters.
Mr. Chairman, please restore
Oh, all right. He's playing a video. Okay.
his time and remind the witness of the rules
Himself, there
here.
is no credible.
And this is again Kash Patel under oath, lying about lying under oath. Again, yes, this government, these people are actually capable of doing that shit. They are. And much more, just to let you know. But this is actually Kash Patel lying under oath about any evidence suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein actually trafficked any of these victims. Because remember when he said that there was absolutely no evidence to suggest that there was any trafficking of any victims other than, Ghislaine and Jeffrey and themselves? Kind of like how Pam Bondi said that she had the Epstein client list on her desk ready to be released, and that fucking changed really quick too. But at least she didn't say that under oath. Kash Patel doesn't have that fucking pillow to fall back on, unfortunately.
Information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800.
I'm sorry, because you have a whole group of them sitting behind you that, again, just not that long ago, stood up and raised their hands because they would have loved to have been able to meet with the DOJ, would have loved to have been able to meet with the president of the United States to demand accountability and justice, right? To demand action in this. But they all raised their hands because they have yet been able to have that meeting. So for you to be like, oh, we would love to hear about any of the victims and what they got to say is just utter and complete horseshit. Again, already been fucking, debunked in this hearing earlier. It's not even like this is from another day, another week, another month, another year. This is something clearly pointed out in this very hearing already, that you don't give a fuck about the victims. You have absolutely no fucking compulsion to sit there and listen to what they have to say or listen to their demands or apologize for the incompetency or the ignorance of you and your fucking people. None of that's happened. So you're talking out of your arse again there, Lathy.
Call FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4
Again with the fucking Merrick Garland. We'd all fucking love to have, but that's not who we're dealing with right now, is it? That's not who's in charge. That's not who you fucking represent right now in this ongoing cover-up, right? We'll get there. But how about you answer for your own responsibilities right now? How about you answer for your own fucking criminalities and things that you've been engaged in? Because I do believe that, as Thomas Massey says here, I saw a clip of him, I think it's Thomas Massey, that says, listen, this may have been going on for quite some time and under many fucking presidents and under a lot of leadership, right? But you're just the latest in the line of those fucking disgraceful people that you say and continue to bring up because they hid or didn't do the right thing as it came time for the Epstein files, right? And I think that's a great point to make, because they always love to point out, well, why didn't this administration do this? Why did the Biden? Well, they always forget that guess who was president before Joe Biden, right? So again, that's how that conversation continues to roll on. You can pull up this. All right, we'll pull up this. But if you want to play that game, then guess what? You're just the latest in the line of those fucking sick, depraved individuals, as you call them, that didn't do the right thing. You're sitting in the same fucking hot seat and doing the same thing that you are now accusing them of doing. So it doesn't exonerate you. It doesn't absolve you of the fucking criminalities or wrongdoings or incompetencies that we've seen so far in your leadership at all. And if anything, it makes you look even fucking more foolish that you'd come out here and blame these people, that people, this, that, and the other thing. And you're actively engaged in a worse cover-up because people know more now and it's being hidden more. I don't remember Merrick Garland, regardless of what you have to say about him or what he did or didn't do, which we have a lot to say, believe the fuck out of me here at Blunt Politics. But regardless of that, I don't recall him ever fucking setting 1,000 agents down to sit there and redact the names of not only Donald Trump, but the criminals and the people involved in the perpetration of this fucking crime and sex ring. That I don't recall happening. So if you want to take it to the fucking nth degree, we can go there. But I don't think it's going to go how you think it's going to go or how you thought it was going to go with, again, a Republican questioning you. Because this goes on.
Years, did you talk about Epstein?
I am
at
reclaiming
all
my
the
time.
last
I'm
4
glad you're
years?
asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because
time
this
when
is
you don't-
bigger
when
than
you can't-
Watergate.
when I don't answer a question the
this
way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up.
You're forgetting somebody in there. You're forgetting somebody, Mr. Massey, in there. There's another fat orange orangutan looking president that you forgot to mention as far as his first term. So let's not fucking let him off the hook. Let's not let the people that he used to work for him off the hook for his first administration. And again, not doing the right thing as far as this is concerned. But again, I do agree with, and I like how he's pointing out here, as far as, his stance, the people that he has to fucking not plagiarize to, but the people that he has to kind of speak to as far as his base, and bringing up the fact that, again, if you want to fucking, talk about the Obamas, you want to talk about the, that administration, the Biden administration, the Trump administration, they're not doing it. Well, guess what? You're bringing it up, but you're just the fucking latest in the line of those people. That's all. And again, you're actively engaged in a more widespread and bigger cover-up than any of those administrations were ever in a million years even thought of or accused of engaging in. Right? Maybe people were demanding more action, which they were. Maybe people demanded more fucking accountability and more investigations, and that fucking was absolutely the right thing to be doing. But again, in no way was there a report out there that Joe Biden was telling Merrick Garland to go out there and redact the files and the names of the fucking people talking about, hey, yeah, I loved your little child. It was the best little child. And hey, how about we kill this person? And hey, how about we fucking, yeah, I loved being here in Afghanistan with the little boys and the toys. Like all the fucking sick things that we've heard, right? All of the fucking nasty and egregious and just fucking despicable things just to come out of the fraction, the minute amount of information that we already know. And she's going to be sitting here like, oh, let's blame Merrick Garland for this. Let's not talk about my role and responsibility in what's been released thus far under my fucking, under this second Trump term.
Decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
where the
I want to know at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen.
And again, we're running out of time here. I know this is I knew this was going to happen. I had a whole show planned and then this happened this morning and I kind of figured it was going to take over, but we're probably going to have to get into, and we're definitely going to have to get into the Ukraine information and, the Ukraine updates tonight on the evening show, the evening edition of the Blunt Politics podcast, which is tonight at 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast, 5:30 p.m. on the West Coast. But I do believe that we could dive into, with the last kind of 8 or so minutes, this Midas Touch report on the Zorro ranch, the Zorro compound here now being discussed as far as a place that was kind of left untouched as far as investigatory work is concerned. This is a Midas Touch video. It's about a half hour long, so obviously we're not going to be able to get into all of it, but I'll let the kind of beginning play, and then we'll see if we can dive into a few of the documents that he brings up. We'll probably dive back into this again later tonight so we can do, give it the justice and the attention it deserves and not try to fly through it. But just for, the sake of what I named the show and not being a total hypocrite, I want to make sure that, we make everybody aware of this, just in case you're not around for the evening show. So again, this is Midas Touch. Ben Meiselas is talking about the Zorro compound in New Mexico finally being exposed for what it is. And it's everything you could possibly think of with these fucking monsters and more. Okay, just to put it that way. Here we go.
What I'm about to share with you are the dark secrets of Jeffrey Epstein's ranch in Stanley, Santa Fe County, New Mexico. Some really dreadful things happen there. The cover-ups, the abuse. Why wasn't that address subject to any federal subpoenas. What went down there? We're going to cover it all on this episode right here. This is going to blow your mind. So Jeffrey Epstein had a ranch that occupied about 7,500 to 10,000 acres in a small city called Stanley, a county called Santa Fe in New Mexico. Okay. And in 2019, when the local district attorney wanted to do an investigation into child sex trafficking and abuse of that ranch, they were specifically told by the feds, do not go into that ranch. We've got it. We will be handling the investigation. But the feds did nothing. We now have the emails of what was going on with the federal prosecutors in the Trump regime, and they said, we are not issuing subpoenas. We're staying away from that Santa Fe ranch. The ranch was called the Zorro Ranch. It was owned by a trust that Jeffrey Epstein owned called the Zorro Trust. Epstein acquired this ranch in 1993. Obviously, you now know that Epstein died in 2019. The ranch was eventually sold to some other entity in 2023. And in 2019, after Epstein was arrested for the second time by the feds, there was lots of questions about that ranch. Because there was a lot more, if you could even wrap your head around this, sexual abuse, sexual torture, and other things going on in that ranch than even the island, than even Palm Beach, than even his house in New York City. The ranch, especially based on its proximity to Mexico, because it was in New Mexico, its proximity to Mexico was a site of sex trafficking. We now know from hearing Jane Doe's stories, torture was taking place in there. So why the hell?
Again, just for the sake of time, because this is a longer video, there's a couple obvious aspects of this that he brings up. Here where the trust is claiming to have an $85 million lottery win. I mean, there's a lot. This goes really deep. There's a whole lot of layers to this. I mean, the whole thing is just layer upon layer upon layer of depravity and just, things that you would expect, things that were like, doesn't blow your mind, things that were fucking thought about for a long time, whether it's Russian involvement, whether it's Mossad's involvement, whether it's the egregious crimes against children, the different, entities and fucking backdoor dealings and businesses that have to be involved in order to get, make this stuff stay behind the scenes, the compounds that we used. I mean, again, by the second, more information is being released and learned and trying to be fucking uncovered. But it's just, it's striking everybody the same way. I feel like, you know what I mean? Unless, again, you're one of the idiots, morons, and depraved psychopaths defending any of this, then, I think we're all kind of in the same boat as for the larger extent.
In 2008, the Zorro Trust won a lottery in Oklahoma, and it's possible that's the same Zorro Trust. And then there are emails with Epstein talking about having girls use the lottery ticket and the lottery numbers that he wanted to give them. Was that?
So again, it begs the question, and the implication is, did Jeffrey Epstein have such fucking deep and detailed connections that he had a way to manipulate the fucking lottery in order to, again, give a large payout to a certain group or people or entity or business? Again, it's just questions that need to be raised, and I think nothing is kind of out of the realm of possibility at this point, considering how deep the ties go, how well connected the fucking men and individuals listed in these files are, the businesses and the corporations and the conglomerates that they're responsible for and ownership, have ownership of. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Again, the involvement of politicians, the involvement of government officials. Who knows? Barack, the Israeli involvement as far as that goes. Who knows? Again, at this point, nobody seems to have quite a grasp on it yet because we don't have the entirety of the information. So it's damn near impossible to have that.
One of the ways he made this money. Look.
And again, there's more. We only have a couple minutes left, and I know we're kind of flying through this. And I'll see if I can dive back into this evening. to kind of give it the coverage it deserves. But here's, more emails.
Here's what it says. This is 2019. On July 19, 2019 at 7:48 p.m., retired New Mexico State police officer, and it's redacted. The telephone number is redacted. Other personal identifiers refused, called the FBI National Threat Operations Center regarding information related to Epstein. This person provided the following information. This person lives in a neighborhood of a property owned by Jeffrey Epstein. The property, which is on Zorro Ranch Road, Stanley, New Mexico, has recently had a large barn constructed. The barn is suspicious as there is a garage door that appears to be a sally port, and there is a chimney. This person who's making this tip.
A sally port. Now, from my knowledge, and not saying it's vast knowledge by any means, but a sally port is kind of like a barricaded position, not a barricaded, but a defended position separating kind of, your property and the outside world, if I'm not mistaken. Is that kind of what a sally port is? Let me know in the chat if I'm getting that wrong. I believe that's what a sally port is. Some sort of, defensive structure, some sort of, separation between kind of your, a stronghold or your house or whatever it may be in the outside world. Let me know if I'm getting that wrong. I think I'm getting that correct. But again, a lot of, emails, a lot of documents to substantiate and corroborate, not only that, but several allegations like he was just speaking of from Jane Doe as to what was taking place in this ranch, why it was never investigated, why it was never searched, why it was never part of this kind of whole bigger ordeal. But again, like I said, there's more coming out every second, and we're going to do our best to kind of sift through it and dive through the details and make sure that everybody knows as much as humanly possible. But I do appreciate everybody for watching Blunt Politics. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your passion. I'm going to kick it over to Jeff Waldorf over there on this space. Thanks again to the mods over there. You guys rock. Thanks again to Matt. Very much appreciate you including me in this coalition. I couldn't be more proud to be involved and to continue to speaking up on these issues. So again, very much appreciate it. And I hope everybody, if you're not subscribed over there, to hit the old subscribe button, not only here at Blunt Politics, but also over there on this space. It would be greatly appreciated. So thank you to everybody over there. I'll send everybody from here to there. Shout out to Jeff Waldorf. Thank you for doing what you do, my man. Take it away. Keep kicking ass. And make sure if you're here on Blunt Politics and you gave a shout out or a contribution to the channel, you stick around so I can make sure to give you your shout out and show of appreciation. So I'll leave it to you guys over on this space. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. See you later. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you over here on Blunt Politics. Thank you to the mods first and foremost for everything that you do. Thank you, Tiff, as well. We got to be getting the birthday presents ready for Tiff because she's got a birthday coming up. She won't tell me the exact date because she doesn't want me to embarrass her, but I think I'll just make it even more well known to everybody in the world that she's got a birthday coming up, even though she's not going to tell me the exact date. So if anybody knows, drop it in the chat. But thank you to all the mods, Tiff, Tanya, Mark, Lokera, thank you, Jen. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Adam. Excuse me if I'm forgetting anybody. I apologize. Rocks, all of you guys, thank you so much. Whether it's here, fucking Alyosha over there on Twitch, Andrea, thank you so much. Everybody who contributes to the show in any way to keep it at a safe place, to keep it going. I really do appreciate it. So let me thank everybody, which I can't do because I don't have my cell phone, which is strange because I typically have that glued to me at all times. I don't know where that is, but let's get to thanking people over here on YouTube for their kind and generous contributions. And I'll see if I can, what did I do with that? Did I drop it? I typically have it. Anyway, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you, my man. These people must go to lying school. I mean, it really is at this point like an art form that they've really kind of mastered to this, to a large extent. It's not an art form you'd really be proud of or want to be good at. Really at all. You'd probably be shunned or should be shunned from society for even engaging in that type of propaganda. But you're 100% right. I mean, people like Erica Kirk, right, come to mind as far as like, lying and acting school. Pam Bondi's another one. So I appreciate you, my man. Hope you're well. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you so much for being here for 13 months, my man. And great picture with the golden retriever on the crap of reading the newspaper. I really enjoy that. Appreciate you. Jeff, let's go, brother. Thank you for the 20. Shout out to you, my man. Can't thank you enough. The minion with the hockey gear on too. Love it. Can't love it even more. Couldn't love it even more. For the potty mouth jar, throw a few in there for me. I will do, Jeff. Thank you so much. I thought I was good today. Didn't I tone it down? Did I not? I don't know. Like I said, I don't even hear myself swear anymore. I just have to wait till my mom calls me after the show and says, stop fucking swearing. I just swore as I'm trying to mimic my mom Jesus. Now I understand the issue. Okay, I see it. I see it. All right, well taken. Hand up. Hand up accountability. Hand up accountability. I see what you're saying, Mom. My apologies. But I'll throw that right in there, Jeff. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, my man. Shout out to you. Thank you, Mark. Oh, great fuck. Again, I can't stop. I was going to say photo, but it came out sounding like the F word, so I stopped. I promise. Great photo, my man. Love that. Love a good sunset. Love a good sunrise pick. I'm always a sucker for one of those, so I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you for your 5. Thank you for the contribution. Truth still matters, and thank you to you, not me. Thank you to you. Thank you to Peg as well. Thank you, Peggy Peg, for becoming a new member. Shout out to you. Hoping you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for being here. Hope we see you back tonight. Thank you, Marsha, for the 2. Very much says thank you, Boston. Brian Mods, Briantologist in the chat. Right back at you from everybody you just named, especially me. Thank you so much, Masha. Appreciate you. Thank you, Kyle. What's going on, my brother? Appreciate you for being here for 22 months. Is he feeding bananas? Is that corn or bananas? You guys in your pictures crack me up, man. I love it. I love it. I really do. Keep them coming. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, JD, as usual, as always, per typical. Thank you very much for your contributions, my man. I'm going to have to rename this swear jar the JD swear jar at some point. So very much appreciated. I hope you're having a good day, my man. Thank you, Deb, for being here for 8 months. This is also horrific, Brian. Thanks for covering these powerful topics with us. Well, I appreciate you being here and sticking through it with me. I know it's difficult. I know it's not easy. I know it's very easy to tune out and kind of not engage with any of this. So I really do, commend and respect each and every single one of you. Whether it's here or in other channels or, viewing other accounts, other progressive or liberal channels, whatever it may be, for doing the work and consuming what you guys consume. Because as we were talking about on the Zoom chat, shout out to everybody that was at the Zoom chat. Thank you so much for joining me. Always a good time. Always cool to see people, like I say, put a face behind the screen name, as you always see in the chat. But as we were discussing, like, it's crazy how, there's just not enough time in the day to consume all of it at this point. You just, every podcast, and, I'm guilty of it, tells you to watch this, that, and the other thing, and do this, that, and the other thing. And it's just, you guys have your own lives to live. You guys have things that you're dealing with, whether it's health issues, whether it's, surgeries, whether it's, pets, whether it's parents, whether it's house issues, whatever it is. I mean, people are living their lives. So, it's damn near impossible to be able to consume all that the people want you to consume. So I appreciate you guys, giving your time here, because I know time, again, is the most valuable thing that you have. And I know that you have a lot going on. So I just want to make sure that I do recognize and show my appreciation for the time that you spend here with me, whether it's, at the shows, during the live stream, watching it afterwards, being in the Zoom chats, sharing the show out, contributing to the, the campaigns that we're in, all that, any of that. It's all very much appreciated and goes a long way to keeping us here. So thank you, Deb. Thank you to the rest of you guys for contributing. Thank you, Steve-O. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. Very much appreciated. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you again for that. Thank you to Peter for the 5. Sally Port is a guarded entrance, limiting exit entrance as in prison. Gotcha. I figured, so are you kind of confirming what I was saying? I can't tell. I think I was somewhat along the lines of that, right? Anyway, I appreciate you, Peter. Thank you so much for your 5. Thank you so much for your contributions. Appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for enlightening me on that as well. Thank you, Mr. Foss. 21 months. Let's fucking go, brother. 13 months, rookie number. So glad to be here. Appreciate it. Hey, don't be rubbing it in now. Don't be rubbing it in. We're just as appreciative of 21 as we are 13, as we are of 1. So I know you're gloating, and you deserve it. You do deserve it, Mr. Foss, because you've been here for a while, and I appreciate it, my man. So shout out to you. Thank you so much. Hoping you're having a wonderful day. Let me just see. I think my phone's right here. I never want to leave anybody out. So let me see if I can thank everybody on Venmo. 1 sec. I'm loving it. All right, let's do it. I hate leaving people out. I want to make sure everybody gets their shout out. So first off, Claudia, thank you so much, Claudia. And no, you rock. You rock. I don't rock. You rock. Who else is on here? Tiff. I told you. I'm one of the most stubborn people around, Tiff. Don't mess around. Just all you have to do is give me the date. I would have given you something nice. That's all you had to do. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Christine. And thank you, Nancy. I very much appreciate it for the contributions today. You guys are fantastic. Nancy, it was fabulous to see you last night. Thank you so much for showing up to the Zoom, as you always do. You speak so I don't have to. That's great. I really do appreciate you guys. All your kind words and support. It's felt. It's appreciated. It doesn't go unnoticed by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm going to let you guys go. Oh, one more thing before I let you guys go. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this, because I know as we've been kind of discussing, the situation that our good friend of the show, Hal, has been going through, not only with his, late father recently, but also with the, the battle that, his significant other, Summer, has been going through. I just wanted to, if I could, share my own. Let me see here if I can find this. Yeah, here's this one. Let me see if I can throw this on the screen. Do what I could. So I'm going to throw this on the screen here. And again, I understand that not everybody is in the position to be able to contribute to things like this. I know we have a campaign going for, trucks to Ukraine. I know there's T-shirts and stuff you could do. So I know it's a lot. So I'm under no illusions that everybody's going to be able to do something. But, I got a friend that I grew up with, longtime buddy, good hometown friend that is, in need of some assistance at this time. As we always say, fuck cancer, but you can read on the bottom here, written by his sister, Brianna, says she's getting this fundraiser for her brother, Sean. 5 years ago, he's diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, on his neck. And it's recently he's found out that it's kind of, not kind of, but it's spread to other places. So, if you have a buck or two or whatever you can contribute, I just want to make sure I'm doing my part here. So, wherever we can help, we're trying. Yeah. Fuck. I thought I was going to get through that. Righty. Well, anyway. Fuck. I don't know who stuck a camera in front of my face and said it was a good idea. Anyway. Yeah, big fuck cancer to everybody. So I appreciate you guys and all your support. Fuck. And you help along the way with all these different things that we ask you to help with. So appreciate you guys. All right. Signing off. I'll see you tonight. I'll see you this evening. I appreciate you guys. Sorry for that, but I want to make sure I'm doing my part to make everybody aware. So fuck me. All right, I'm out. Appreciate you guys. Peace, love, happiness, all that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm out. Let's see if I can close out with the actual closeout. No, I think it's this one. Appreciate it. And again, hold on. None of the information on this is correct. At some point in time, I will get around to changing the information on this fucking outro. But as of right now, just don't look, just listen, because that's all it's good for is the song at this point. So, all right, I'm out. Sorry, I'm out. Peace. Love. Yep. Thank you to the mods. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody, for what you do. Appreciate you. Thanks, Pops. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're both 50-50. Thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. Wherever you are, I appreciate you.
they're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
He says rectum damn near killed him. What in the hell was that all about? Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses.
Here you got a little chubby going there.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.